Rondi, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved and became the credit expert.
My background is I'm a retired fireman, and I have been an entrepreneur ever since I was a little kid. I've owned several companies, including multi-million-dollar construction companies in Colorado. And about 5 years ago, I went through a pretty nasty divorce, ended up homeless, living in my car because things that my ex-wife had did to my credit to where I couldn't even rent an apartment. So I lived in my car for about 5 months, and I decided that from that experience, I was going to dive into credit so that never happens to anybody else on my walk. So that's how I got involved with credit.
Isn't that interesting how some of us are able to take such a horrible experience to go from the owner of a multi-million-dollar company and living life well, and then all of a sudden finding yourself homeless, and you've taken that experience and turned it into a great business. And you are an expert. You are on the radio, heard over 40 stations all over the country, sharing your wisdom and what you've learned and helping people with their credit.
We help out hundreds of people every month get into a home that they couldn't qualify for before, all based on federal and state law and our understanding of the law and how to get items removed from credit reports quickly, legally, and permanently.
So how do you do that?
Well, federal law requires that the banks and credit bureaus do certain things. And if the banks violate the law, you can actually sue them. And we understand how those laws are set up.
Right. So just to clarify, the concepts and the strategies we use in our firm, we are teaching people to use their money to become their own source of financing, but we never suggest to people to get rid of their credit cards. Having a good credit score is very, very important. It's a very important part of having a good, healthy financial life. I know that I've got clients before they meet me, they're cutting up their cards and they're tired of credit cards and they close their accounts. Isn't closing an account the worst thing you could do for your credit?
It will destroy your credit. It's not the worst thing, but the way I explain it to people is think about your credit history as a driving record. Someone with 30 years driving history generally pays less than someone with a year driving history. And when you cut up those credit cards and close the account, it's like canceling your driving history. And then when you get a new account, it's like starting all over. And in the meantime, you're paying extra interest on everything.
Check us out at livingwealthyradio.com. We're here today with Rondi Lambeth. Rondi is with fortresscreditpro.com. He is a credit expert. You can find a link to his website on livingwealthyradio.com or go direct to fortresscreditpro.com. He is a FICO certified credit pro, and we've been talking about the importance of having good credit, reasons that may not be obvious to you. We've also been talking about how if you've got bad credit for whatever reason, Rondi says that there's hope. He had terrible credit at one point in his life, and that's how he got into this business and is helping people every single day recover their credit, improve their credit scores so that they can pay less on auto insurance, they can secure good jobs, they can pay less for gas. Right, Rondi?
The average American loses, according to CNN Money, 97%. That's 9.7 people sitting around you right now in the car. 9 out of 10 cars, they have errors on their credit report. 9 out of 10 people. And those mistakes cost the average American $350 a month. You need to look at your credit. You need to get it fixed.
So is the whole system, the whole credit system, rigged against us, rigged against the consumer?
According to the U.S. government, it is. In 1960, they did a study, and they come out and said nearly 80% of every credit report was wrong, and nearly 50% of those people would be denied employment because of the mistakes. That was 1960s. So in 1971, they set up what's called the Fair Credit Report Act to put a stop to the credit bureau's abuse. But the credit bureaus, it's $1 billion industry.
So if someone goes around, a long life and they're doing the right things and they're paying their bills and they haven't had any, circumstances where they've had to file for bankruptcy or lose their home and foreclosure, et cetera. They're just going along life thinking everything's well. They're not actively monitoring their credit. They think everything is okay. Is there something different they should be doing? Should they be paying attention? I mean, we've got so many things to do every single day. Should we add this to our list of things to worry about?
100% yes. I check my credit every single day.
How do you do that?
Every day I check my credit. I do it through a company called Credit Check Total, which is owned by Experian. It costs me, I think, $15 a month, and I can pull my credit every day. So there's lots of these websites out there that you pay a percentage. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and all of your listeners. If you are doing a monitoring service, call and ask for 50% discount. If they're charging you $20 a month, call in and ask them for a $10 discount every month and say, look, I'm going to go somewhere else if you don't. They are in strict competition with each other. They're all owned by the credit bureaus, and so they're competing against each other. So if you want to save yourself 50%, ask for the discount. There's lots of services out there that will give you the credit report. If you want a free one, very, very simple, annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. So by law, they have to give it to you once a year for free. But I found a loophole. If every 100 days you add a fraud alert to your credit report, annualcreditreport.com. So you add a fraud alert to your credit report every 100 days. Every 100 days, the credit bureaus, by law, have to send you a free copy of your credit report for $600.
This is Teresa-Kuhn with Bank on Yourself. I am a Bank on Yourself authorized advisor, helping you, individuals, families, business owners, redirect their expenses and major purchases so that you could increase your cash flow, increase your retirement income, and the money you leave to your family when you die. We're here today with Tammy De Leeuw and Rhonda Lambeth teaching us the truth about credit scores, identity theft. I'm learning stuff, Randy. I'm an attorney. I do not practice law, but I've worked with money for over 20 years, and you've shared with us today in the last 20 minutes information that I had no idea. And I consider myself a savvy money person, educated. I study, I read all the time, just like you, every single day. And you really opened up my eyes and made me concerned enough to make some changes to what I'm doing. So why don't we talk a little bit about identity theft and how one can protect themselves?
So there's lots of monitoring services out there they call identity theft monitoring services. I'm not saying you should belong to those. In fact, I think if you have an account with LifeLock or any of the other companies that monitor your credit and then inform you once you're a victim, I think it's a waste of money. If the government agrees with me, that's why they've sued LifeLock 4 different times, because they're spreading non-truths. I think your best bet is to add a fraud alert to your account, and then once a month, go in and check your credit. Once a month, look for mistakes on your credit report. And if you find a mistake, instantly start working with it.
Score under 740. What can Fortress Credit Pro, Rhonda Lambeth, do for you, for our listeners?
We have a 90% deletion rate of things such as foreclosures, bankruptcies, tax liens, judgments, short sales. 90% of the items we work on physically, permanently, and legally get removed from the credit report because, according to the U.S. government, nearly 80% of the information reported is wrong. Nearly 97%, according to CNN, is wrong. And if I can find a mistake, just like a good defense attorney, and find the mistake in the chain of evidence, we can get it removed from the credit report. But only if we find the mistake, which is over 90% of the time.
So how expensive are your fees if you get items deleted?
A simple thing like an inquiry is $25. It goes all the way up to $250. If you got a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a federal tax lien, a judgment, it's $250. So my question is, if you have a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, would you be willing to pay $250 if it was deleted from your credit report? Never to come back, ever. Gone forever.
I think that's a no-brainer. You're going to make that back immediately, right?
Immediately. You will see your credit scores go up immediately. So for $250, after we get it deleted, not before, after we get it deleted, we send you an invoice with a copy of the credit report showing deleted from group.
For our listening audience, this is Rhonda Lambeth. He was our guest today. He is the author of 3 books on wealth, credit, and marketing. He is a credit expert, a FICO certified credit pro. His website is fortresscreditpro.com. You can find the link on livingwealthyradio.com. shared with us today information on how you can keep your high credit score. And according to him, the definition of a high credit score is 740 or above. Improve that credit score. And he's given us some great information. It's been a pleasure.